What is it that makes your private duty home care business unique? Our research shows that there are about 17,500 companies across the United States who provide private pay non-medical home care. What makes you different? How do you differentiate from all of the companies in your local marketplace that are providing that same service? Whenever I think about this concept of competitive advantage, I think about Walt Disney, who said, to be successful in business, you must be unique. You must be so different that if people want what you have, they must come to you to get it. What's your unique factor? What's the one thing that makes you totally different than your competitors? In this section, what we want to talk about is the 7 sources of competitive advantage in the marketplace. My first commercially published book in 1990 was called Strategic Focus, a game plan for developing competitive advantage. And in that book, we talked about the premise that if you pick one thing that makes you truly different from your competitors and you focus on that one thing and you do that one thing better than anyone else, you will be highly successful in your business, in your marketplace, in your product or service. Well, back then we had 5 sources of competitive advantage. Since then, as we have dug more deeply into this business of private pay, non-medical home care, we've come up with the 7 sources of competitive advantage in your marketplace. And I want to run through them briefly, and then we'll give you other video programs to go in depth into each one of the 7. Number 1 on the top of our list is innovative specialty programs. That is, having a private pay non-medical service that focuses on a specific need of your clients and their families. For example, it may be a program specializing on specific areas of chronic disease, dementia, for example, Alzheimer's disease. A significant portion of elderly Americans have some level of dementia. And so many private duty companies are creating specialty programs to deal with dementia patients. The second source of competitive advantage is exceptional customer experiences. We all know that this is a service economy and that people place great emphasis on the experience that they have with regard to the companies with whom they do business. Again, the classic example of the customer experience is going to Disneyland. Well, what's the customer experience look like for you, your company, and your clients? When the phone rings, what does that mean? When you go out to do that in-home assessment, what does that look like? But it's not only the customer experience for the consumer, the clients and their families, but it's also the customer experience for your referral sources. If you're calling on a bank trust officer, what does that experience look like? What is the experience for that bank trust officer as you're providing care for their clients? And so we'll look more in depth at what it takes to create exceptional customer experiences. Number 3 on the list is Caregiver Quality Assurance. Caregiver Quality Assurance is a program we developed at Leading Home Care to look at recruiting, selection, retention, and coaching of your caregivers, because it's very clear that one of the big issues in home care today is caregiver turnover. And your clients get connected to their caregivers, and they want the same caregiver every day over and over and over again. They also want caregivers that they can trust and with whom they can build relationships. So the Caregiver Quality Assurance Program is based on a 9-step process for selecting caregivers, an online assessment tool that looks at their attitudes, it looks like their behavioral competencies, it looks like their cognitive abilities, the ability to think and to solve problems. And so you can create competitive advantage through the Caregiver Quality Assurance Program, and there's actually a seal that goes on your website, that goes on your promotional materials that says, we're a member of Caregiver Quality Assurance. Number 4 on the list is personal relationships. The personal relationship strategy is based on the premise that all things being created equal, people would rather do business with a friend. I'm sure you have a situation where you do business with a company specifically because you have a relationship with one individual there. Maybe the owner, it may be the manager, it may be the teller in your bank branch, but it's that person-to-person relationship. And we know that there are many consumers and clients of private duty home care that stay with a company because they have a personal relationship with the owner, with the branch manager, with the care coordinator, with the scheduling coordinator for that matter. And also we know that when the client and the caregiver have a personal relationship, they both stay with you longer. So number 4 is personal relationships. Number 5 is organizational relationships. This is where your private pay company is connected with another healthcare organization. Maybe you're part of a home health agency. Maybe you're part of a hospice. Perhaps you're connected with a hospital system. And it doesn't mean that your company is owned by those systems. We have many examples of private duty companies that have built affiliations with senior living communities. And in some cases, they actually have an office in the facility, and their caregivers there 24 hours a day serving the residents of that community. So organization to organization relationships can give you a source of competitive advantage in the marketplace. Number 6 on your list is brand awareness. Brand awareness is really about what the image is that's projected in the mind of the consumer when they see your name, they see your logo, or they hear the name of your company. What does your brand mean to your customers? And this is a whole area of creating awareness for your company, creating awareness of the name of your company, creating awareness for what is it that differentiates your company from your competition, and we'll have more in-depth information on creating brand awareness. And finally, number 7 is relationship selling. This is a situation where you have a focused, dedicated salesperson, account executive, whatever you want to call that position, who is out there every day making 7 to 8 meaningful sales calls on high-value referral sources. And you're building that relationship with that referral source, and as a result of being in there on a regular basis, you have that steady flow of referrals. I remember an instance where we were doing some work in marketing to physicians, and my wife was at a meeting with a friend of ours who is a pediatric surgeon, and she was asking, well, how do you make a decision about referring patients to home health care? And he said, well, I don't know, you have to talk to Margie. She said, well, who's Margie? That was his medical assistant in the office. And she went to Margie and said, well, how do you decide which home care company to refer to? And she said, well, let me think about that. It's whoever was in here last, and it's who do I like. And so that relationship selling is about who is in here last and who do I like. So there you have the 7 sources of competitive advantage for private pay non-medical home care. Innovative specialty programs, exceptional customer experiences, caregiver quality assurance, personal relationships, organizational relationships, brand awareness, and relationship selling. Let's take a look in depth at each one of these 7 sources of competitive advantage. If you're a premium member of the Academy for Private Duty Home Care, you'll be able to log in and look at more in-depth videos on each one of the 7 sources.